In today's video, we're going to take a closer look at 10 children's novels that I would like to read. Hi, I'm Øystein and I'm trying to become a bookworm. And lately I've been thinking about children's novels, and that's why we're talking about them today. Earlier this week I published a video about how children's novels might be a good way to start if you want to start reading more and getting into reading books as a habit. So check that one out if you're interested in the topic. I think we'll just jump straight in, and the first one is The Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, published in 1950. The reason I want to read this book is because I've seen the movies and watched the BBC series. The BBC series made the biggest impact. I saw it several years in a row because it was sent on Norwegian television in Easter, and I really enjoyed it. The concept of parallel universes is something that's just be reinforced after I started this journey with reading Neil Gaiman's books, and I really enjoy the concept of parallel universes. I just haven't thought about it before I started reading. Of course, in this book, the kids disappear into a wardrobe and end up in Narnia, where they are set to rescue Narnia from a tyrant rule. So big themes, but small people. This is a book that I think I will really enjoy, and I also think that it's important to choose the right edition. I've been thinking about buying this book for a long time, but I just can't wrap my head around which edition to go for. Will I buy a simple paperback, or do I have to buy an expensive big version with a lot of pictures? I have no idea. So recommend me one edition if you have one. Number 2 on this list is also a book that I watched the movie to, and that's Matilda by Roald Dahl. This is just a fantastic story. It's about Matilda, which is a brilliant child, but she has abusive parents. She wants to go to school, but her parents don't see the point in going to school. Nevertheless, she manages to go to school, but finds out that it's not that great there either, because the headmaster is a monster. But her teacher she really enjoys. Here she develops her brain further, not only in that she learns a lot of stuff and is a genius, but also that she can control things with her brain, which makes this book even more interesting. Roald Dahl is just a great storyteller, and this is an amazing story, and I'm looking very much forward to reading it. The next book is not a book at all, it's just a bunch of books, because it's the Moomin books by Tove Jansson. Tove Jansson is a Finnish author, and I've basically grown up with her stories only through the television. The Moomin trolls live in the Moomin Valley, where a lot of things happen. You have wizards and witches and dark forces. Basically everything can happen in the Moomin Valley, but even so, the great thing about the Moomins is their close relationships and how diverse the cast of the Moomins are, because all the characters are really traity. I don't know if that's an expression at all, but they have very specific roles in their community and they behave in very specific ways, and that's what makes them great. Also, I've looked through a lot of Moomin books and they're so gorgeously illustrated that just makes me want to deep dive into the books and stay there. So this is actually books that I think I'm going to read all of at some point, and I've mentioned it on my channel before. The original books are really hard to find, so at some point I just hope that I'm going to find some of them. If not, I'm going to have to buy them new. Then over to the books I haven't watched on television, and we start off with David Walliams' Ratburger. And David Walliams is an author I've seen a lot after I started trying to find out which children's novels I would like to read. And he seems to be the next Roald Dahl, and many people talk about him as if he's already there. I struggled to find out which of these books I was going to start with, but Ratburger just spoke to me. Just look at that front cover. I tried to look up the description in English, but I didn't think it was all that great, so I'm now going to translate some of the Norwegian to English, and it will not be great, but at least I've done it. This book is about a girl called Zoe, and her stepmother is so lazy that she has to get Zoe to pick her nose. That's the first line, and I thought, well, this is a book I would enjoy. I don't know what that says about me. She's also being bullied, and Bert the burger man is trying to steal her pet. I guess that's the rat. Well, I thought that sounded very amusing. This book I bought just because I think it would be hilarious for me. And I will feel like a child. So we all need to feel like a child sometimes. David Walliams has published a lot of books, and it was really hard to choose, and I told you that I chose Ratburger because I bought that one new. But then I found Gangster Granny, which I thought also seemed like a fun novel. This book is about Ben, who has to stay with his grandma, who he thinks is extremely boring. But then it turns out that his grandma is really a jewel thief, an international jewel thief. And I'm guessing that things are picking up for him. Life isn't that boring anymore. So that's number 5. Now over to one of Scandinavia's biggest children's novels treasures, and that's Astrid Lindgren, and with the novel Mio, My Son, published in 1954. Maybe she's most known for her Pippi Longstocking novels, but this novel I chose because this is the one I know the least. And it's also the one that seems most fantasy-ish, and maybe a little more grown up than the other novels she's made. I thought I'd just read the description so you know what I'm getting at. With the help of a genie, young Carl travels by day and night beyond the stars to reach faraway land. There his father, the king, who has been searching for him for 9 long years, tells him his true name is Mio. Mio learns of a prophecy that has been foretold for thousands of years. With his best friend Pompo, he must travel into the darkness of outer land to battle the cruel Sir Cato. So it seems really like a grown-up novel, and a novel that will really touch my feelings. And of course this list wouldn't be complete if I didn't have one Astrid Lindgren novel, or Tove Jansson novel. Then over to a novel I don't think you think about when you think about children's novels, and that's Jo Nesbø with his Dr. Proctor's Farting Powder. Jo Nesbø is of course mostly known for his mystery novels, but he has written a bunch of books about Dr. Proctor. I bought this just because it seems so fantastically silly, and because it would be sort of ironic if this is the first Jo Nesbø book I'll ever read. 11-year-old Nilly is new to the neighborhood, but he is quick to make friends. Dr. Proctor, an eccentric professor who invents wacky potions and powders, and brainy Lisa, who is always teased by her twin terrors Truls and Trim. This will be enjoyable, and I'm glad I could talk to you about Jo Nesbø not only as a crime fiction novelist. I'm going to end this by talking about 3 classics, and the first one is Philip Pullman's With the Golden Compass. This is of course also a series of books. Just seems like authors that write books for children can't just stop with one, so they're all part of a series of some sorts. This is also a book I've seen in thrift stores, and I thought about buying it, but then I think there must be a better edition somewhere, and I keep searching. The same thing with the Narnia book. I just think that these will be books that I'm going to read several times, or other people around me want to read them, so I just can't decide on which edition to go for. I thought I'd read the description here as well. Lyra is rushing to the cold far north, where witch clans and armored bears rule. North, where the gobblers take the children they steal, including her friend Roger. North, where her fearsome Uncle Azrael is trying to build a bridge to a parallel world. Can one small girl make a difference in such great and terrible endeavors? It just seems so brutal and so cold and cynical in a way, and we Norwegians love the cold weather. At least we like to think about the cold weather. There's just some novels that make you feel like a mood just feels chilly, the whole thing. Like a universe you would like to get stuck in. And that has to be one big part of choosing children's novels, I guess, or books in general for my sake. The next book is a book that I found very early in this bookworm journey, which I have no clue where I got from. I must have googled children's novels at some point or something like that. And that's The Giving Tree by Shelf Silverstein. I think I just fell for the catchphrase, once there was a tree and she loved a little boy. I also fell for it because it's very small, and I thought I needed more small books. I haven't read more about it just because it's so short, but I have read more around it, I might say, and I found this very, very funny comment, or not a comment, it was just a part of the Wikipedia article, but I found it very amusing. This book has been described as one of the most divisive books in children's literature. The controversy stems from whether the relationship between the main characters, a boy and the eponymous tree, should be interpreted as a positive, the tree gives the boy selfless love, or negative, the boy and the tree have an abusive relationship. I don't know how I'm supposed to react to sentences like that, but it sure makes me want to read the book a whole lot more. This last book is a book that I didn't think was a children's novel at all, but I've been educated, and it's Tolkien's The Hobbit. As I understand it, Tolkien wrote this novel for his children, and he read it out loud for them before they went to sleep. I've heard that his children were smartasses, which arrested him if he said something wrong or if there were plot holes in the story, which makes this book all the more fun. I think, and I know that many of you know this story better than I do. I've never been a Tolkien fan, or I haven't read the book, so who can tell, but I'm going to read this. A personal fun fact about this is that this book is the book that most of my Goodreads friends have rated. I think nearly all of my Goodreads friends has read this at some point, and the lowest score of them all is 4 out of 5 stars. That means that people have read this very early on, or if it's just a fantastic book, I have no idea, but you tell me. And if you want to become my Goodreads friend, you can click the link in the description and become one of my very, very special Goodreads friends, just because I have so few. So these were the books. If you want to check any of them out, you'll find links in the description. And if you have suggestions for other children's novels I should read, give them to me. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!